what you've been through isn't wasted when you share it with somebody else. And so what I want to do in this little workshop that we have, okay, is imagine your life right here. Here we go. This is your life. This is the beginning, and this is the end. And God has given you this little window of time. This is your little window. And the Bible says we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. And it's right after, it's in Hebrews, and it's right after it talks about all the faithful of whom the world wasn't worthy, right? So good. So we're a great cloud of witnesses that are looking through your window, looking at your life, and they're going, she's running her race right now. So you're running your race right here, right? That's your life right now. And your race doesn't go quite like you thought it would. Is that true? Okay, because life happens, right? L-I-F-E, L-I-F-E. So in your life, you're going to have isolation, you're going to have failures, you're going to have endings. Jesus called this trouble of many kinds. So you have trouble of many kinds. Has anyone ever been let down? Today, right? Like every day. How about isolation? Have you ever felt alone? Misunderstood? I have. Have you ever had a failure? These two are what they did to me. This is what I did to myself, because I'm the biggest problem, right? Paul said he's the greatest sinner. So failure, I have a lot of ways I've blown it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could fill a book about ways Brian's failed, right? Failure, and then endings. Have things unexpectedly ended. So a job, a life, a relationship, a membership, right? These are things that happen. True or true? True. So with that being said, in your life, you'll have trouble of many kinds. And so you're like, oh, birth, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old. Somewhere along the way, things don't go the way you expected, right? So we have our expectation, what we expect, and then we have what we experience. And isn't it true that what we expect and what we experience, there's a gap between the two, right? And so what do? Well, we look for a guide to help us with the gap. And you, my friends, can be the guide. You can be the guide for somebody in the gap right now. And it's not selfish to do that. And that's why I wanted to have my little Hall of Heroes here. Because I bet you we have a story to say, oh, I'm not Rick Warren. Who does he think he is? He's just standing in the gap, right? And he started with, has to study the Bible. He did not want to write that book. And then his friend, Billy Graham, said, Rick, if you don't write that book, somebody else is going to write that book. And you're going to have to stand before God one day. I said, okay, Billy, I'll write the book. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't that hit you? Man, that hits me hard. But not in a condemning way, but maybe in a convicting way, right? To say, I want to be a good steward of what I have. So you got today, so let's make the most of today. So the question then is, as you look back, what's one thing in life that you expected to go one way, but you experienced a gap, experienced differently? Was it a letdown? Was it an isolation? Was it a failure? Was it an ending? So I think one of the greatest things this would be so cool, okay? Imagine, so I just turned 48 years old. It's crazy. I don't think I'll make it through my 20s. Praise the God. Lots of grandma prayers. So I'm 48 years old. So maybe in the last 3 years, maybe between 45 and 48, so that would be 2023 to 2026. If I go back to my journals or my photos app, go in your photos. I take a lot of photos because we're kids and we've got a cute dog. And I look back and I go, where in the last 3 years, which is about 1,000 days, I think that's good, right? So about the last 1,000 days, is there one area in life that I've experienced a letdown or an isolation or a failure or an ending? Right, so that's the big question I'm going to ask you. So 2023, so it's not, I was born at a young age. It's like, what happened to me lately? Like, what's God doing in my life now? So I go back and I look at one of these 3 areas of life. I look at my health. So this is like your physical health, your mental health. Maybe it's diet, nutrition, exercise, diagnosis, disease, health crisis, right? That's a big area of life, okay? Or, again, or not and, or my finances, okay. Oh my goodness, well that's like saving money, investing money, losing money. I'd put probably job, career In this category, calling, leadership, that kind of thing I would put in finances. Or, big one, you ready? Relationships. Okay. And that would be like with God, with spouse. For me, it would be with our amazing team. It would be with my 3 kids. It would be with my dad. It would be with my grandma. It would be my friends. So health, finances, or relationships. So I look at this. I look at 2023. So I go back to my photos. And I look at it, I'm like, oh man, I've learned a lot about health in the last 3 years. I've learned a lot about finances in the last 3 years. And I've learned a lot about relationships. I could write a lot of books. Do you agree you have more than one book in you? Oh yeah? Right? Oh yeah, okay, good. You're my people, right? So imagine one day when you are at the end of this thing, right here, at the end of that timeline. My grandma just turned 100, so, oh yeah, she's amazing. Lived through World War II. So one day when you're 100 and you're getting near the end, she's getting near the end, which is incredible. One day you'll look at your bookshelf of all the books that you published in your whole life. How many books are on that shelf? In your wildest dreams, God says, yes, all right, let's go, sister, let's go, daughter. How many books are on that shelf? Your whole life. This is your life bookshelf, okay? So one day when you're 100, or my grandfather died at 83, so when I'm 83, there'll be my life bookshelf, all the books that I've published in my life. Sorry for all my scrawly drawings here. Those are all my books. And so what I want to do today in this workshop with you is we're going to just pick one of those off the shelf. So we're not going to write the A to Z book, we're not going to write an encyclopedia, okay? Because a lot of first-time authors do that. They're like, I wrote a chapter, I wrote a devotional, now I'm going to write me, my whole life story. And no one cares about Brian's life story. The only thing they care is the lessons from my life. And they only care about one lesson because that's what they're facing right now, right? Here's the cool thing. What they are going through right now, and what are they going through? It's either health, or it's finances, or it's relationships. And let's be real, it's usually, which one? Relationships, right? People are messy. And the messiest one's the one I see in the mirror every day, right? Man, that hit me. So what are they going through right now? And then you look at it and you say, I've been through that. What they're going through, I've been through. I didn't do it in my own strength. I'm not trying to claim, I'm not anybody's savior and I'm nobody's scapegoat, okay? Don't blame me, and I also can't save you. I just want to be your friend, right? So I just want to help you get through what you're going through. But I can only speak authentically about what I've been through. So thank the Lord for the suffering that I've faced, because Romans 5, 3-5, suffering is endurance leads to character, and character produces hope. And so Brian Dixon right now, there's some character there, I hope, right? But that character only came from the suffering I went through, right? From the letdowns, from the failure, from the isolation, from the endings I've experienced. I've experienced all of those, a lot. Does it make sense? So thank the Lord that He is good and faithful, but life has not been sunshine and rainbows every day. You agree? And I read your story, so I know your life has not been sunshine and rainbows every day. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick one book off that shelf today, together, right there. We're going to pick that one. So you did one or two, you did a devotional, did a chapter. Now we're going to talk about your full book. But not your only full book ever, right? There's going to be another one. But until Jesus comes back or until you get hit by a bus or cancer or something, right? This is life. Yeah. Either or something. You never know. Something's going to happen, right? But while you're still here, you got a little bit of time to make a lot of Him, right? Know Him and make Him known. That was our slogan of our Bible college, right? That's why I'm here. So I've just discovered this real quick. I just discovered if my job is to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every living creature, this is my very rough drawing of the world, okay? There you go. I realize that I can try to get really famous and I can try to reach the whole world with my voice. But let's face it, like my voice is annoying. I remind people of like a youth pastor. There's things about me that rub people the wrong way. And I know it's shocking. It's true. So what I discovered is that instead of me trying to get famous, what I could do is I could equip, especially Christian women, to be faithful to share their story. And instead of me trying to get famous, what I can do is I can help you reach your people here, and you reach your people here, and you reach your people here. And then over time, we can reach the world through your own story. Does this make sense? I can't write a story that will impact the whole world because they're not going to relate to me. They're going to say it's my privilege, or they're going to say it's my age, or they're going to say whatever it is. But if I help you tell your story, you can reach people that you're called to, and you reach people you're called, and you can reach people you're called to. Do you get it? And that's the whole goal, helping you figure out the book that only you can write, the book that only you can write. And the book that only you can write is one that comes from the life that you lived in the last couple of years, the life that you lived over the last couple of years. And to meet her, so it's always for her, right? And 80% of books are purchased by women anyway. So we're gonna focus on the 80%. So to write a book to her and ask, where is she in prison right now? And then when she looks at you, this is like the hardest part for a lot of us to realize. She looks at your life, you ready for this? She looks at your life and she sees the promised land. That took me a long time to believe. You see it, Lori? There are people that you look at you right now and go, oh my goodness, I would trade places in a minute with her. She has it so good. But then you can say to her, I've been there. I've been there. I believe it's the life you're living today is a dream you had 3 years ago in one of those areas. So you got the diagnosis 3 years ago, but now look at your life right now. You went through that hard relationship challenge 3 years ago, but look at your life right now. And so wouldn't it be so cool? Okay, one more thing. Wouldn't it be so cool if you could write down, here's how I did it. Here's how I went from the prison to the promise. Here's the path. And we know from the Bible, theologians call it the red thread of redemption. Curse of the fall, the promise was there's a Savior coming, right? But looking forward, they didn't see it. But looking backward, you're like, oh, look, that was like Jesus was coming the whole way. Look at all the prophecy from Isaiah, etc. And so in your life, same thing. Looking forward, it was really hard to see how you got to where you are now. But looking backward, you're like, oh, it was that mentor, and then it was that Bible study, and then it was that book I read. And you can see the steps, but it's hard to see them forward, but it's really easy to see them going backward. Does it make sense? Because you just read your journal, or you look at your photos. Okay. So wouldn't it be so cool if you could write a love letter from 2026 and put it in a special mailbox and mail it to yourself back in 2023 or 2020 or 2029 or or 2024, like back in the past? If I was given a magic piece of paper and I was able to write something to me 3 years ago, I would fill up that whole paper. And it wouldn't be what stock to buy. Right? It'd be like, watch out for this person, and don't put money there, and stop doing that. I'd be aggressive like Paul, right? I'd be like direct, because I love me, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. I love me a lot. And so I want to help past me not make the same mistakes that I did. Does that make sense? Okay. You can't do that, but you can do the second best thing, which is you can write that letter for your neighbor, right? You can write, because your 2023 is her 2026. She's living the pain that you wrote about in your chapter. She's living that right now. And that compassion for her is what drives us. It's not fame. It's being faithful and sharing your story, because it's not about you, but it's to let her know, I've been where you are, and I'm not there anymore. I'm bragging. It's hope-filled. I'm letting you know that the suffering led to endurance, led to character, and it produces hope. My hope for you is we can rejoice in the suffering. Make sense? That's a hope book. That's what we do, right? So we're never going to publish Lisa Turker's book. She's too famous. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking to partner with authors who really believe that that God is working their story together to be shared with other people. Do you get it? Okay, so we're going to do this little exercise to try to figure out what that book could be. Isn't that fun? Okay. So it's called The Niche. What's the niche? And the niche, you can put a little E if you're French, the niche. The niche is one person, one problem, and one promise. Does anybody know what you call that? The XYZ. One person. Now, if you want the microwave, like the quick answer, it's you 3 years ago. You just go back to where you were 3 years ago. You just go, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I did it. There you go. So who is the person that you would love to send that love note to? It doesn't have to be you. It could be teenage you. It could be single you. It could be first year married you. It could be pre-cancer diagnosis you. But to pick who that person is that you feel like you could, if you were able to send her a love letter and she would read it, it would really help her. I mean, life and death in the power of the tongue. Like, it could literally save her life. Right? Okay. So what do you think? Who is that person? You want to heal before you reveal. So I wouldn't say do the thing from yesterday, because it's still a little raw. But if you wait too long, like if I started writing about charter school leadership right now, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, because that was 13 years ago, right? So like, you don't want to go way too far back, because then you don't really remember what it's like. At least I don't.